In today's presentation, we will be going through Microservices Architecture. The agenda will be firstly to describe what exactly are microservices. We will then follow through with the age-old question of exactly what are the profound differences between microservices and service-oriented architecture, SOA. What are some of the inherent benefits of adopting microservices architecture? What examples can be demonstrated to help you visualize the adoption of microservices as an organization? And lastly, we will conclude the learning today by summarizing what has been presented. Microservices is an approach towards architecting application. This is when large software applications can be broken down into multiple services. Each of these services, called microservice, are deployed independently of one another without needing to know the implementation behind the microservice. Each of these services constitutes as a single business function and executes only that business function. According to IBM's Redbook, Microservices from Theory to Practice, there are four main considerations for a microservice approach towards architecting applications. Firstly, there is a concept of loosely coupled. This meant that each service is capable of operating independently on its own without coordination with other services. This allows the service to be developed and deployed very quickly. Secondly, each of these microservices is small and focused. The goal of the microservice is simplicity so that it can be rewritten and maintained effortlessly by the team. Thirdly, the microservice has to be language neutral. For example, certain services could be faster running on Java because of its extensive library, and others could be on Python for quicker deployment. Fourthly, microservices have bounded context, meaning that each microservice does not need to understand the implementation for other microservices within the application. In this scenario, we have a banking application with multiple microservices. Each of the microservices performs only one task and is able to excel at that task using their own language and implementation methodology to best deliver business results. In fact, SOA and microservice share many similar methodologies in developing applications. Some key differences are that of business and technical objectives between microservices and SOA. Firstly, microservices are design principles for an application, whereas SOA is meant primarily for enterprise-wide system configuration. Therefore, microservices have a focus on more localized applications, whereas SOA is meant for overall business transformation. In an overarching view, microservices can be viewed as a subset of SOA because it is focused on application, whereas SOA focuses on large-scale enterprise architecture that spans multiple systems both geographically and logically. What are some of the benefits of utilizing microservices? Firstly, there is a lowered learning curve for developers in the team. This means that developers do not have to go through hundreds of thousands of lines of code in order to understand the system. Instead, the microservices they're in charge of can be easily dismantled and re-assembled to create value for the organization. Secondly, bottlenecks can be identified and scaled properly. From the previous example of the bank, perhaps a national event where there are deposits of cash into the system, many bank users will utilize the check balance microservice. This particular microservice can be provided more resources to handle the upcoming demand. Thirdly, there can be much faster user acceptance testing. Every microservice can be tested quickly to check for validity and consistency, whereas previous monolithic systems require the entire system to be ready in order to test for consistency in the system's logic. Fourthly, the first three factors meant that there can be greater speed to market for the applications developed. This meant that application development cycle can be shortened through the use of microservices. This is because each microservice function is independent of one another and that it operates and deploys on its own. Finally, this allows the business to align very quickly through the use of microservice to respond to the industry, customer needs, and demands. For example, in a bank, There is growing demand for mobile applications from its users. There can be multiple systems deployed, each serving the functions of each channel. Furthermore, there are growing demands from users through the services provided. Hence, the bank requires that the applications to be deployed on the cloud. This means that the mobile application can take advantage of existing microservices to orchestrate more complex processes. To conclude today's presentation, we discuss what exactly are microservices. Microservices can be defined by four main characteristics. Firstly, each service is small and focused on doing exactly only one business function. They are loosely coupled and operate independently of one another. Each service is language neutral and do not need to know the implementation methodology or platform of other services. We then move over to the differences between microservices and SOA. We understand that the two concepts represent different business ambitions and goals, with one being application-centric and the other as an enterprise-wide transformation. We see the benefits of deploying with microservices because it allows lowered learning curve, scale bottlenecks, quicker user acceptance testing, quick-to-market changes, and business alignment. Lastly, we went through the case of surge and demand for mobile usage and how microservices can help develop more services for the mobile users.